Last week, we saw some survey results from the Phoenix Police Sergeants and Lieutenants Association, and it shows that members don't have a lot of confidence in the city's interim police chief or many of the department's policies.
In fact, Ben Leuschner, who is the president of the Phoenix Police Sergeants and Lieutenants Association, joins us this morning on Arizona's Morning News, and he says that this survey reflects an unprecedented level of concern from the leadership in the Phoenix Police Department.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for being with us. And first off, what kind of response rate did you get to your survey, and which questions really made it obvious that your members aren't behind the interim chief, Mike Sullivan?
So we had a 79% response rate, which is very high for us. That means the vast majority of supervisors did respond. And the reason we did the survey in the first place is because they were telling us they really wanted to have their voices heard. That's why we did the survey. When we got the results, we were surprised. We didn't think it was going to be as high as it is, but we had 97 to 98% of our members telling us they didn't have confidence in the leadership of the department, which was tied directly to some of the policies that were being implemented currently as we speak.
The first one that jumped out at me was this question. Do you believe the department is moving in the right direction under the interim chief's direction? 96% said no, Ben.
Yeah, it was actually 97%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which made us wonder if maybe the small minority that answered in the positive was maybe even an anomaly. We don't know. But we were writing that question identical to what PLE did, and that's because we wanted to compare apples to apples.
By the way, let's compare apples and oranges here. The difference between PLE, the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association, and then the Sergeants and Police Lieutenants Association.
Yeah, so they represent the police officers. That's the rank. And then we represent the sergeants and the lieutenants.
The supervisors.
The supervisors. And we also have much of the command staff as associate members because they stay with us because we're the supervisory group.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some of the policies that are most concerning to sergeants and lieutenants. Which ones are the ones that stand out to you?
Well, currently, the chief is implementing a new policy on the use of force. And that's a direct result of some of the DOJ investigations that we've seen and some of the other issues that obviously we've talked about over the years. However, what we're seeing is a lot of subjective terminology, and police officers out on the street that have to deal with these issues day in, day out, they need clear direction. And what they're telling us repeatedly, the supervisors of these officers, is they're not getting that, and the supervisors are unable to explain to the officers in clear language what it is that's expected of them when they apply force to a non-compliant suspect.
So what is the official new use of force policy in a nutshell? Is it possible for you to describe it? As you're saying, your fellow sergeants and lieutenants are having a hard time describing it to their officers in the field?
It's similar to what the old policy was in some of the language, but then we have insertions of new terminology, words such as proportional. Force must be proportional. And then the definition of that is vague. So officers are worried because they're wondering if this is a policy that will then be used to discipline them for political viral type videos rather than objectively looking at the force the same way that all the other uses of force are used. There's also officer-created jeopardy. That's a new term. In other words, if I place myself in a position where then force is used and the force was proper, they can still find me out of policy if the chief or whoever else decides you shouldn't have put yourself there or you shouldn't have been there, which the Supreme Court and other courts have actually held that is not something that you can subject police officers to. So we're doing things here now that are different than what case law has said for years already.
I mean, let me just ask the obvious question. Aren't police officers essentially paid to put themselves in dangerous situations to protect the rest of us?
Correct. And what we've been trying to say is that our current policy, not the new one, there are things in the policy that we can use to address things where if we think an officer was reckless, for example, let's say you placed yourself in front of a moving car, and then that created the situation that you're in, causing you to use force. the force can still be looked at objectively, but then we have policies currently in place where we can say we don't put ourselves in front of moving cars like that.
We're talking with Ben Leuschner, who is the president of the Phoenix Police Sergeant and Lieutenants Association. Is there anything the chief can do at this point to win the confidence of your association's members?
That's a very good question. Look, let me be clear. I think Chief Sullivan is a nice man. I think he's very well-intentioned. But when I speak to my membership, they don't talk to him on a regular basis, and they have a very hard time trusting what is coming from the fourth floor, the top management floor of our police department, even after I speak to them. So to answer your question, I honestly don't know what he could do at this point to garner the confidence of the rank and file.
Has he responded at all to this survey?
No, he knew it was coming. We didn't surprise him with it. We told him we were doing it. Like I said, I think he may see the numbers and may be surprised like we were. Because like I said, we were looking at the numbers. We had no idea it was going to be overwhelming like this. And again, we're just trying to let the leadership of the city know about this, but obviously we know that the public has an interest as well. Mm-hmm. So we're just trying to also, tell the public, here's what's going on inside the police department.
Thanks so much for coming in, Ben. Appreciate it. Ben Leuschner, once again, is the president of the Phoenix Police Sergeants and Lieutenants Association.
Thanks for watching Arizona's Morning News. Click to watch more from KTAR News and hit the button in the middle to subscribe.